What's up, everybody? How's all my beautiful friends doing today? I'm really excited because this marks the beginning of something. The beginning of, I guess, a series, right? Because I haven't had like scheduled streams in so long that I thought, you know what? The time is right. The time is now. So this will be the first episode of Drumdums Live Weekly, and basically, let me turn my music down. Let me say hello to you guys. Hold on just a sec. Hold on. Hope you guys are doing well. All right. I will be your host. My name is Ernie McCracken. That will be my name for today. Big Ern. Please tell me you guys have seen. Yes, I did. I just knocked out my headphones. Let me put them on. Why am I wearing headphones anyway? It doesn't even matter, right? We don't need headphones. Oh my God. How are you guys doing? This is awesome. But yeah, anyway, this will be the first week, and every Thursday night at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is going to be the scheduled time for this. Tonight, I had to push it back because I was at work, and I work at an assisted living facility, right? And there was a customer yesterday that I was working with. We had this power outage, and so, oh, thank you, Jill. That was very nice. Anyway, yeah, we had this power outage, and I'm looking at these big freaking lights, and they're just like staring right at me. Jesus. And so anyway, her TV, I turned it back on because I have to go fix a lot of TVs because, you know, these are people that are in their like 70s and up, right? 80s. So they're not really that technologically skilled. So I had to go and I had to look at her TV. I look at TVs at least once a day. I'm like the TV guy at work, you know, because obviously I'm really into TV, I guess. But yeah, I went today. She bought a new TV. Her son bought her a new TV because nobody can get into the facility because of this whole coronavirus thing. And so it's about the end of my day. I get off at 5 o'clock every day. And when you know it, I think about 20 to 5, I get this call on the radio. Lee, are you still here? Of course I'm still here. The TV just came in. And I told this lady yesterday, I said, when that TV comes in, I'm getting it up for you, okay? Because all they got to do is just sit there and watch TV. I was like, I will not leave until I get that TV up. Didn't expect the TV to show up at 20 till 5 because they're setting up a TV and then they're setting up a brand new TV where you have to like download all the updates for it and everything. So long story short, even though I can tell the long story since we're live streaming, it took me about an hour to finally get everything up and running. Cable guy. I had to find the sweet spot. And yeah, it took me like an hour to finally get the whole damn thing. You know, I was like, Jesus, my freaking subscribers, they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. The very first episode, and I'm late. And I don't like being late. That's one thing about me, too. I don't like being late. So, it's something, right? But we got some things to talk about tonight. I was talking about Drumdums Weekly. It's pretty much going to be a similar format to Drumdums Live, except I think, one, it's scheduled every Thursday night. So that way you guys don't have to ask when, because I get comments like this all the time. I get DMs all the time. When are you doing another live stream? Because I'm just not prepared for live streams. You know, I don't have a set schedule. What's up, Jeffrey? How you doing, brother? So I figured, you know what? I've been streaming a lot, pretty consistent lately. Why not do it a set a night, let you guys know, so that way every Thursday night, more than likely, I'm going to be streaming. Of course, I'll still promote it. Pre-promotion. That's a Howard Stern term. Holly knows what I'm talking about. Pre-promotion. I'm still going to pre-promote it, or would I be promoting it? See, because Howard gives Gary Delabate a lot of shit for his verbiage sometimes, and we reap the benefits. So let me take a drink here, and I'm going to say hello to you guys. But the format is pretty much going to be, I'm going to try to pick a news topic because I know the news lately, at least horror-wise, has been pretty slim to none. But if I can take a current news issue and tie it in with horror, then I'll do that. But I don't have to do that this week because it ties right into freaking Halloween Kills because it's Universal Studios, right? So we're definitely going to get into that. I'm also going to give, I know some of my patrons are in there, so I'm going to give you guys like an update in there too, is because I think it was a couple days ago, in one of my comments in one of my videos, the top 10, the last top 10 that I did, they said, I'm a patron and I don't like the Patreon layout. And right away I agreed with him. I love Patreon, of course. I mean, I love the people of Patreon, the people that support creators. I think that's amazing. But I think the layout of the website could be a little better because it doesn't really give the patrons as much power as I would like it to give them, you know? Because these are people paying their hard-earned money. I think they should have the right to make a freaking post if they want to without waiting for me to make a post, right? So, one thing that I pitched to my patrons, because we're a community, is what do you guys think about maybe making a Facebook Patreon page, an exclusive page, Drumdums Facebook page, and only for my patrons. And pretty much most of you guys said, yeah, that sounds like an awesome idea. It gives you guys a little bit more power. You can create your own threads. It's an easier way for me to get updates to you guys too, because for some reason when I update things in Patreon too, it's like a process, you know? So I think Facebook's a lot more user friendly. So the Drumdums Facebook page, the official Drumdums Facebook page will still be around though. Okay. I'll still be updating that. All my new videos will still be going on that. This will just be for patrons. Also for people that don't have Patreon, don't worry either, because I'm still going to be updating the Patreon page. So it's just more access, I guess, to my content, because we're a big community over there. And I figured, you know what? I got, I think I just hit 122 patrons, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. That is too freaking awesome. And I think we have a lot of fun, you know, with our monthly live streams, with the vlogs. I try to put. I owe you guys a vlog, by the way, too. But I'm due for a vlog. So, before we get knee deep into our main topic of the day, I'd like to talk about what I've been watching. And while I'm doing that, let me know in the comments what you guys have been watching. Okay, Jeffrey Lane, Jason Nike, Holly Klein, Juno 2000, Robbie Koziel. Hope I said that right, Robbie. Jesse Tribble. What's up, Jesse? Andy E. Darren. I'm going to attempt this. Abolowitz? CJ Kidd, what's up, brother? Nice to see you in here. Tom Ungren. Yeah, a lot of familiar faces. Yeah. Demogorgon Boy. Nice. Little Stranger Things reference there. That's always cool. So, now I literally right before this, I was having some pizza, and I was watching American Horror Story 1984, which I've been so excited to finally watch that season because I don't have cable. I just have Netflix, Hulu, Shudder, of course, streaming. I have all that stuff. But I got rid of cable probably maybe 3-4 years ago now. I found myself not watching cable that often. And when they finally offered HBO to streaming, what is it? Is it HBO Now? Yeah, HBO Now. I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm cutting the cord. I don't need cable anymore. And I haven't missed it a day since. You know, I'm pretty much just streaming. So, Twister. Beth watched Twister with her son last night. Man, I saw Twister in the theater when it came out back in 96 was a big year for movies, actually. You had Twister, you had Mission Impossible, the first one. You had Independence Day. And Independence Day was the movie that I really wanted to see, like just because the marketing campaign for Independence Day is, I think, one of the best marketing campaigns ever. So I really, really wanted to see that movie. That was really cool. I saw it late because I happened to be deployed that summer to Saudi Arabia. So when I came back in September, luckily they were still showing Independence Day. This was at a time when movies could show for 3-4 months at a time. Now, you're lucky if the movie's in the theater after a month, if I'm being honest. Some of the bigger ones, like, of course, Endgame's going to be in the theater for longer than that, but yeah. Now, Tyshawn, what's up, brother? Nice to see you in here. Mizzy E, let me see, hold on. I saw somebody said something about American Horror Story up there. Let's see. I like American Horror Story 1984, total Friday the 13th vibes. Yeah, that, now I'm only on episode 4, so if you can, don't spoil it for anybody in the chat, but that opening is 80s cheese glory, 16 millimeter glory. I love that opening of the very first episode, where it's like 1970, and you got this like cabin with all these teenagers in it. And, there's like a threesome. They're like making out and everything. And then this freaking killer comes in looking like something out of I Know What You Did Last Summer. And just completely cleans house. Like full on bloodbath style clean house. Not like Friday Part 7 style. MPAA Butcher style. So I'm on episode 4. It's definitely starting to take some twists and turns. And I'm digging it. Episode 4, I did like the beginning. What is Carrie Fisher's daughter's name? I really like her in this show. She just got a lot of spunk. She's the one that does the cocaine. Not that I'm saying you should do cocaine or anything, but I like characters that do cocaine in movies. I'm talking myself into a corner. I always do this. It's not fun. I don't promote doing cocaine at all, though. Okay? I've never done cocaine, and I never will. So. But it is a hell of a drug. I will say that. It's definitely a hell of a drug. Okay. Where can you watch American Horror Story 1984? Hulu, Jason. If you go on Hulu, it's on there right now. You can watch the whole thing. It's awesome. It's awesome. Another thing I've been watching, on Shudder, I always like to check in with Shudder, especially on their originals. And there is this show called Cursed, which is about these movies that are considered cursed. There's always been this legend around certain movies like Poltergeist, like The Exorcist, like Omen. And one of the episodes I saw was The Crow, like episode 4. And immediately I jumped at the chance. I was like, oh my God, I got to click on this. I got to figure out what they're going to say about The Crow, because I pretty much know everything about the behind the scenes of The Crow. I've studied it like textbook, and there's just only so much information about the behind the scenes of The Crow for obvious reasons, because a lot of the filmmakers still to this day, they don't like talking about it. It's a very touchy subject. And so I watched this, and it was rewarding. I actually liked it. One thing I noticed is there's a lot of images from the movie, like behind the scenes images, Polaroids and stuff, when they're, doing like the makeup tests and all that. Like there's a lot of images of Brandon Lee that I've never seen to this day. So I thought that was really cool. The guy that painted Brandon Lee's face every day, he was a big part of this show, this episode. And he still has like the binder that has all the pictures in it, because he would take pictures religiously of all of his subjects. And he's even got like pictures of Brandon Lee, like when he's laying down like he's supposed to be dead with like blood over him, because remember in The Crow when he falls out the window? And he said that picture is not easy for him to look at because it's just obviously very, very eerie. And one more thing that really struck me about, they talk in depth about the bullet and how the whole thing went down beat by beat. They even have storyboards, because there were storyboards for this. And when he comes through the door with the groceries and he gets shot. But originally they were going to use a knife. And at the last minute, they said, no, you know what? Let's have one of the guys shoot him, Funboy. Let's have Funboy shoot him instead of the knife. So if they would have kept with the knife idea, then Brandon Lee would still be alive today, probably. But Jeff Most, who was the producer, one of the producers, they were interviewing him, and they asked him, after Brandon Lee is shot and they take him to the hospital, he stopped and it was like, can we cut camera? Like, he paused for what felt like a good 2 minutes. And you could tell he was about to well up. Still, over 25 years later, that's the effect that and it would have that type of effect on anybody. So, Twilight Zone. Oh, that's a good example, actually. The Twilight Zone was like a cursed production. There was this helicopter that this tragic accident happened. The helicopter, I guess the blades came down, and I guess it killed a couple of the, I don't know if it was extras or a couple of the actors, but pretty insane stuff. I'm not well versed in the Twilight Zone. I don't think I've ever seen a single episode. I think it's a crime that I haven't seen a single episode, because I hear the Twilight Zone, there's a lot of influence on horror movies that came out after the Twilight Zone. There's just a lot of interesting ideas. So, really cool stuff I've been watching. That's about what I've been watching. Let's see. Taffer says he was killed by a blank that misfired. Yeah, they showed exactly how that happened with the dummy round and the blank and everything. The dummy round was still left in the gun. So, they actually showed the Dark Knight. They showed the Dark Knight. They showed the Matrix. Like the Crow influenced quite a few properties, actually, but those are two that I know they showed: the Dark Knight and the Matrix. Stewie Griffin says, "Have you seen Deathline? It starred a young Donald Pleasance and Christopher Lee." No, that's probably like way back there then, if it was a young Donald Pleasance. Wow. Tom Ungren says The Exorcist, Poltergeist, and The Conjuring. There's more. There's quite a few of them, actually. But if you guys have Shudder, I would definitely check out that show. It's actually pretty interesting. I dug it. I'm going to take another drink. Okay, Chappie, Neil Blomkamp fan. He says, "Hey Lee, last night I watched one of my favorite guilty pleasures, Cool World with Brad Pitt." Somebody just mentioned Cool World not too long ago. And Kim Bassinger. Did you know I saw that movie in the theater? And I didn't plan on seeing it in the theater. It was one of those back in the early 90s where you would go and, you would theater hop. You'd pay for one movie. You'd stand in front of the marquee and you'd write down all the times. And then you'd pay for one movie. And then you just theater hop. And so you'd probably miss like the first 10, 20 minutes of every movie. So I missed the first like 10 minutes of Cool World. But I did pop in to see it. I think the first movie I was going to see was Passenger 57 with Wesley Snipes. But eventually I ended up in Cool World. So, it was an interesting movie. I don't remember it at all because it's been over 25 years since I've seen it. But, Jake Arts, thank you, man. And I saw a couple of other super chats. I'll go back up here in just a second. Hey, love the channel. Keep it up. Great stuff. Thank you very much. Let me go up here. I thought I saw one from CJ Kidd. CJ Kidd, most underrated Michael Myers mask. That's an easy one. Thank you. You teed me right up. I'd say the Halloween 5 mask that Dave Vanderhoff sent me. A lot of people don't like the Halloween 5 mask. You know what? I'll grab it and I'll show it real quick. So Dave Vanderhoff, he actually made this pipe. It's like a PVC pipe, painted it and everything, and sent it to me after. Let me put it in here. After he sent me this mask, and he asked me, he's like, "If you could have any Halloween mask, what would it be?" And I said Halloween 5. And sure enough, it showed up at my door one day, and I was just like, "Dude, that is the most awesome thing ever." But I like the Halloween 5 mask because a couple reasons. One, it's different than every other mask. And two, it's a good looking mask. You know, it's not like the Halloween 4 mask, which, by the way, I never had a problem with the Halloween 4 mask until the internet ruined it for me. I guess it was just the mystery of it or something was like in the back of my head. And so I was able to like look past how silly the mask looked. And I will say the mask actually in 4 doesn't always look bad in the movie. I guess it depends on the lighting. But I guess the same thing can be said with 5, but 5 looks like it had more detail, you know? So, yeah, again, thanks, Dave. I love this mask, though. This is gorgeous. So that's my answer to that one. I'll just put it right here, and I'll just stare at it the whole time, so I don't have to put it back there. And I'll have him look at me. All right, yeah, so now I think that's based off of Greg Nicotero's face, actually, too. Like I think there's the base mold was Greg Nicotero's face, and then from that they structured it, you know. So at the end result might not look like Greg Nicotero, but that was the cast, I guess, the base cast. All right, and let me see. I think there was one more super chat, and I don't want to miss that. Hold on. Yeah, Riley Rayburn, he says, The Incredible Hulk is better than all other MCU films combined. Now, that's a strong word, combined. It's tough for me because if I take the fanboy out of my head and put it aside and I try to be fair about it, it's still high up there. It's still in my top 5. But I would put Infinity War above it for sure. And probably Winter Soldier. Those two, I think, would definitely go above it. But I still love... Now, and if the fanboy in me would say, fuck yeah, man, I freaking love The Incredible Hulk because it's the movie I've always wanted. And I think that's a common mistake that people make when they rate movies sometimes. Unless that's the intended rating. You know, this is my movie. This is exactly what I wanted. Instead of rating it as... the script and how inventive it was and how well written it was. So there's different ways you can look at it. But yeah, I still love The Incredible Hulk. And it's definitely the movie that you want to put on if you have a good sound system, especially when he's like running against those big wind turbines. Jesus, that scene's insane. Okay, going back down here. Oh, yeah, see, I love it. You guys are helping each other out. Holly says, use shut-in code and you get 30 days free trial on Shudder. You can try Drumdums, too. I've done a promotion for Shudder, but it was like a year ago, so I don't quote me on that. It might not work, but back then, you could use the word Drumdums, and you could get 30 days for free. I know you can still do that with Horror Pack. If you're interested in Horror Pack, you can use Drumdums and you'll get 10% off of that one for your first month. But I like how you guys are hooking each other up, helping each other out. That's awesome. Jesse Campbell, what's up, brother? He says, Lee Michael plays Jason in between Halloweens. Laugh out loud. And no Incredible Hulk sucked. It's okay movie, but compared to Winter Soldier or Civil War, it's crap. See, now, you threw me off when you said crap, because you could compare that movie to freaking anything. It's not going to be crap. But I think those are bigger movies, too. The Incredible Hulk is a smaller scale movie. But, like I said, I'm the Hulk guy. I freaking love the Hulk, and it was exactly what I wanted. So it's hard for me to say that I can't... I was entertained the whole time, you know? I can't... It's hard for me to put that movie down. I like how it was setting up everything with the leader and all that stuff. The freaking fight. I still say this right now, guys. The fight at the end of that movie between Hulk and Abomination, still one of my favorite final fights out of the whole MCU saga. That was you got to say that. That was a badass fight. Especially when he like freaking picks up the chain, pulls it around his neck and like squeezes it. Oh man. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. Okay, now, there will be like an AMA portion of this, but I don't want to jump off too far. I want to jump into my main topic because, of course, crazy times we live in right now, right, guys? Like, and I say that I've said that every stream ever since the coronavirus started. But like, I don't know if the coronavirus caused this other stuff. Like, can you imagine a theater company telling a major, like one of the big three studios, we're not playing your movies anymore because you got a jackass working for you, you know? And of course, I'm not saying they called somebody a jackass. That's pretty much the vibe that I got from this whole story. It's pretty crazy, actually. So, I actually did a little bit of homework here. Let me pull it up. But this story, and this ain't the first time you've seen this. This story's been all over the internet for the past few days, okay? But if I go, let me go over to, let me see. Okay, yeah, and there's so many different quotes. I pulled one here from The Verge, but I mean, this is even on CNN. Tons of stuff. So let me switch my page over here so you guys can read along with me. Yeah, here it is. So, and I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but just to give you guys the gist of it, AMC theaters will no longer play Universal movies after Trolls World Tour's on-demand success. So, just to read it to you, AMC theaters will no longer play Universal films effective immediately after, quote-unquote, unacceptable comments were made from NBC Universal CEO Jeff Shell on its decision to bypass a traditional theatrical release for Trolls World Tour and make it a digital exclusive, according to Hollywood Reporter. In a new interview with the Wall Street Journal, Jeff Shell noted that Trolls World Tour, that's hard to say, Trolls World Tour, succeeded their expectations, pulling in nearly $100 million in revenue. As a result, Shell noted that as soon as theaters reopen, we expect, this is it. This is the kicker right here, guys, okay? This is what got him in trouble. This guy got way too excited. Ooh, look, money, money, money. We're making money, and we're not in theaters. So he said, and I quote, soon as theaters reopen, we expect to release movies on both formats. Those two words right there fucked him right in the beehole. He said both formats, and then as soon as he said that, AMC freaked out. And I get it. I understand why they freaked out, because that's a pretty scary thing, because the digital age that we live in right now, I'd say for like the last, I mean, VOD is it's still a pretty new way of getting distributing movies. It really is. I would say probably 3 to 5 years it's been around. You know, it's still pretty new. So I'm thinking theater owners were probably scared that this day was going to come eventually. And the coronavirus kind of kickstarted it, because when the coronavirus came along, of course, we had to shut down theaters. And let me go get you guys back on the main thing. Yeah, so coronavirus came around. We had to shut down theaters. And people got really scared. Because we've never been in a situation like this before. You know, this is all new to us. And the idea, like, we can't go to the theater now. We can't. That's the least of our problems too right now. But I was curious about this whole thing. I started sitting back and I started really kind of dissecting it in my brain, and because it's just crazy to me that a company like AMC would make a bold statement like that. If you do that, if you release your movies simultaneously on VOD and in theaters, then we're not going to show Universal movies. And I think they're flexing. And just to cut to the chase, guys, they're going to resolve this. I really think they're going to resolve this, because both of them are going to lose in this. If they actually went through with that and stopped showing Universal Studios movies, we're talking freaking, this is the studio that put out Jurassic Park, that put out Jaws, that recently put out Halloween 2018, Back to the Future. Universal Studios is a major studio. So there's been years where Universal has, beaten all the other studios in terms of total box office. So it almost makes me wonder if AMC had regrets on saying that. Like maybe I shouldn't have, but maybe they felt like they were backed into a corner. So shortly after that, Universal came back and they said, wait, hold on just a sec. Well, no, you've got us all wrong. We're not saying that. And of course, we're not saying every movie we put out, it's going to, we're going to do that and put it on VOD and put it on in theaters. Back the truck up just a little bit. Certain movies, only certain smaller movies, like Trolls. Trolls World Tour. I haven't seen it. That movie probably would have went to just theaters first, like all animated movies do. It's a Universal. It's a big studio movie, so of course. But I think there's good and bad to this, because the good is it forced these companies to think outside the box and look at other options. Okay, we don't have theaters right now. What can we do? So it forced them to say, hey, let's try this. And maybe they didn't think that if we do that, are we going to get that big of a negative reaction from the studios? It makes me wonder, like, did they even see that coming? That reaction? Because it was a pretty crazy reaction to say, fuck you, I'm not playing Universal Studios movies anymore. It's pretty damn insane, actually, to make a claim like that. So, now here's my thing, too, if you look at both sides of it, too. Like, what if, and I don't think this is going to happen, but what if Universal Studios said, you know what? Screw you, too. We'll go the course, and we'll just release movies on VOD, and whatever theater companies will release them. Now, I just heard that Regal has followed suit. They're doing the same thing. That doesn't bode well at all, because now you got two theater. This reminds me of Blu-ray and HD DVD. And I'm sure some of you guys, especially your media, physical media buffs out there, remember those two formats. And it's, the line, there was just like this, this tension there, And because if one of the studios jumped ship, there's a good chance that all of them were going to jump ship. And what happened was most of the studios jumped on Blu-ray side. And so you were left with Universal Studios and Warner on HD DVD. And as soon as Warner, because Warner was riding both lines, they were doing, both. Warner, as soon as they said, you know what, we're going Blu-ray exclusive, that was it. HD DVD was over. And so now, they're very different situations, but it still is, if you look at it, two different ways to deliver media to people. You have your VOD and you have the theaters, and of course they can coexist. They do coexist. But, I'm sure that the theater companies thought that one day this is going to happen. This is going to come. People, a lot of people don't mind not going to the theater. I hear people all the time say, I have no desire to go to the theater. I don't like people at the theater. I can relate to them too sometimes. When I went and seen Krampus, and while I'm saying this, give me like your worst theater experience, okay? When I went and seen Krampus, I that is the angriest I have ever gotten in a theater. And let me explain why. I was in the back of the theater. I'd say it was half full. There were this group of teenage girls to the right of me. And they were they weren't watching the movie at all. All they did was talk and giggle and laugh. And I just, and they were right next, they were in the same row as us, just right down. And I just started losing it. So I said, just as politely as I could, can you please stop? I'm trying to enjoy the movie, which all these other people were in the theater and nobody was saying anything. And I was like, don't you guys want to enjoy the movie? And I'm not a confrontational guy at all. I hate confrontation, but I love movies, and I was just getting really, really fed up. And I was just like, can you please freaking stop? They wouldn't stop. I didn't win that day. Okay. I'm not going to come out of this story being the hero. It did not work. And I guess that's my point, is like, sometimes you're in certain situations where you really you can go talk to the manager and maybe that'll work, but I'm a grown 45-year-old man, let's just say. 16-year-old girls. What am I going to do? You know? What am I going to do? So I don't even remember. Did I go to I think I actually went down and talked to, maybe I don't like going to the manager. So I don't remember if I went to the manager or not, if I'm being honest. I don't want to lie to you, but that to this day is the worst theater experience I have ever had. I've had a couple of similar ones, but that was the worst. Oh my God. And I like listening to bad theater experiences. And the reason I'm asking you this is because this is going to tie into something that I'm going to share with you guys here in a minute. But I'm going to read a couple of your experiences. I see one from Jeffrey Lane here. So let me go up here a little bit. Worst movie experience: being in line for 3 hours to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in 1990. No BS, 3-hour line. Then my brother got scared when the turtles jumped out. So I haven't seen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Are you talking about like in the movie when the turtles jumped out, your brother got scared and so you guys had to leave? That would suck. Let me go up. I'm going to read a couple more, you guys. Taffer says, seeing the remake of The Crazies and this lady, that's a good movie, by the way. This lady in the seat on the next aisle up kept rotating her popcorn. Like picking up the bucket and rotating it. And it was so freaking loud. How rude. You know what? Loud eaters are another issue in theaters. And a lot of times it's just not, what are you going to do? Say, could you chew quieter? I don't know. It's not something that I've had a big issue with, but I've seen it. If I could share one more, and I'll read some more of yours, because this just came to my mind. I was seeing, there was that boxing movie with Miles Teller about the guy who was like, he was paralyzed. But we just got in the theater, right? We just sat down, popcorn in hand, or I think we were doing nachos. All of a sudden, I hear the loudest snoring I've ever heard in my life, and I kid you not. There was this guy behind me, really, really overweight, and his whole body was spread eagle across like 3 chairs. And he's asleep. I mean, like fully, I'm not talking about like just nap sleep. I'm talking about he was like full 2 o'clock in the morning, deep sleep. Like he was probably in the Matrix somewhere. He was that out of it. And loudest snoring I've ever heard. And he snored throughout the whole goddamn movie. And I it's another one of those instances. I remember my son was like really freaking out. He was so mad. My son like kicked the chair in front of him, and which was kind of funny. But that was another one of those situations where we like, I think we had to get the manager on that one, and they literally had to wake the guy up. Like you paid your hard-earned money, and you sat down and you just slept through the whole movie. So that drove me nuts. Let me see. I'm going to read some more. Aren't these fun? These are fun. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, Bryce Russo. Let's see what he's got. Hold on. Okay, worst theater experience was on 2 occasions. The first occasion was basically a guy in front of me kept farting, and it smelled the whole theater. Was a girl sitting next to me kept chewing loud. So I'm thinking those were 2 different situations. But yeah, passing gas, that's a tough one. You know, I always see that like when I go to concerts. Every time I go to a concert, it seems like I always get next to the guy that just busts ass the whole damn time. Ruins the damn show. Freaking hate that. Mikey Weiss, what's up, brother? He says, my dad is a loud popcorn eater, and I always get embarrassed as hell. Loud popcorn eaters are the best. I always think of that scene in Cape Fear with De Niro, and he's like in the theater, and he's just making like Nick Nolte's life a living hell. He's just doing that. Just doing that really loud laugh. It's great. I'm going to read one more here, okay? Awesome, cool guy. I went and saw the Emoji Movie because my little sister forced me to come with her, and it was so bad, so infuriating, so cringy that people, even kids, were actually booing when the movie was over. I've never seen that. I've seen people walk out quite a few times, but I've never seen people literally start booing at the end of a movie, which that's really hilarious, actually. Oh, I hate when you're in the theater and you got to go to the bathroom like really bad, but you don't want to miss anything. I always try to go beforehand, but yeah, it's never fun. Now, one thing I was going to read to you guys, because I posted on Twitter, I was curious. Um, do you need the theater experience? Or are you fine with theaters going away and just watching your movies on VOD? You know, and believe me, I know that's a black and white question. There's really very little gray area there, okay? And a lot of the comments were like, it does depend on the movie. And that's true. I think everybody would agree with that. You know, certain movies, and I know people, they go to the theater once a year, maybe, for, say, an Avengers or something like that. So I think that's like an outlier. But I just wanted to know in general for, you know, like, I don't know, just pick your movie like The Hunt. Is that a movie that you have to see in theaters, or, you know, can you see A Quiet Place? I think that's even a better example, because A Quiet Place is definitely a movie that's kind of cool to see in the theater. But that was my general question. Could you see movies like that in just on VOD? You know, do you really need the theater around? So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to share. Let me see. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. And I'll read a couple of the answers here too. Let me refresh this. Okay. Okay, so I got 189 votes. And let me go over here. Yeah, here we go. So, yeah, the question was, getting some data for my stream tonight. Do you need the theater experience, or are you okay with bypassing directly to VOD? I was kind of surprised by this answer, actually, if I'm being honest. I expected there to be less than 28% that are fine with bypassing to VOD. But, I mean, I'm sure that studios and theater companies, they take data like this, you know, into the equation. This is important type stuff. Obviously here, still, you know, almost 75% of the people, 3/4 of the audience want to go to the theater from time to time. And just to go down and read a couple of the comments. Like this guy, Merit Bond, he says, I built a lovely home theater, so I'm fine. That's one thing too, is some people have such great, nice home theaters that they would prefer to just watch their movies in their home theater. I think the big thing is, at least as the situation stands right now, is the wait. You know, you're going to go to the theater, obviously, because you don't want to wait 3 months to see certain movies. Some people don't mind that, you know. Hell, I mean, just thinking about it in real time, the reason I got on YouTube was to pretty much just have a conversation about movies that I can't usually have with normal people. So I'm talking about Joe Sixpack here. Now, this, let me switch back over here. Now, I don't know how reliable this data is, because this is on my Twitter page, and I would say 95% of my Twitter followers are like us. They like movies, you know? So it's not really great data for Joe Sixpack. Because I can tell you right now that percentage would be more like in half at least. Because Joe Sixpack, for the most part, he could do without the theater. So I think the data would be a little different. Now I guess the next thing is, you know, Halloween Kills. Is this another death nail in Halloween Kills? You know, I guess that's the big question. I mean, we had Hallowstream last week, and we talked about you know, Halloween Kills, and we talked a good half hour about, you know, will it be delayed? You know, stuff like this doesn't really help the case, if I'm being honest. You know, stuff like this, because I'm on, you know, I'm like you guys, I want this movie to not be delayed. Like, it's so important to me that this movie is not delayed. It means so much to me. I want this movie, and I think we need that. You know, I think come October, we need that release. You know, we all need a release right now. We're all stuck at home, and it's not fun. It's not funny, and it's not fun. Being stuck at home, and, you know, I literally probably say this to my wife, at least a couple times a week. She says it to me. I can't wait to go to the theater again. It's like our church. We love going to the theater, getting popcorn, getting soda. And, I think one thing that scares me is that all these movies are jumping ship. And, even when Venom 2 did it, then I started getting worried because I would have probably bet money before Venom 2 jumped ship. I'd still bet money that we're still seeing October this year. We're still going to have Halloween Kills this October. I still would probably bet money on that. But they got to be scared right now. David Gordon Green and company have to be pretty scared right now, given that this is a Universal property. And I'm sure Universal must be like, God, why did we open our mouth? Because you don't want to lose that theater support. But on the flip side of that too, I can't see AMC not wanting to, and also just to be fair, and I was watching John Campea on this, he made the determination that this isn't set in stone. Like this was something that AMC said, if you do this, then you can expect us to not show Universal Studios. So it was more like, if you really read between the lines, it's more like a warning than a concrete statement. Well, I guess it is a concrete statement, but it's not saying that, okay, because you made that statement, we're not showing your movies anymore. It's more of a warning saying, if that's the route that you're going to go, that you were just, rejoicing about, then we don't want to do business anymore. So I think there's an opening there from the theater companies, from AMC and Regal. Now, I think there's definitely an opening there. I think they're willing to come to the table and come to agreements, but it's still a scary situation. Like I said, we've never seen anything like this. Levi's never seen anything like this, and he would still bark. Jesus. All right, I'm gonna get a monster. So give me 30 seconds. I'm gonna grab a monster, and I might grab the other monster, Levi. So hold on. I got to take a picture of this Halloween 5 mask with, sitting under my microphone. I'm going to post this on Instagram so you guys can see it. Let me see. There we go. He looks badass. Cool. So anyway, that's pretty much my thoughts on the whole AMC debacle. It's just still crazy to me that this happened. Like, I never in 1,000 years would have expected something like this to happen with a theater company and and it's weird too, because Disney pretty much Disney's owning everything right now. It wouldn't surprise me if Disney ended up owning AMC and then buying up Universal Studios, and then just Disney owns everything. They're the freaking Wizard of Oz, That probably wouldn't. It could happen. I mean, anything could happen. Who knows? All right. How are you guys doing? How are you guys hanging in there? Let's see. I'm going to look at my notes here, because little tip for you. When I do streams, I have my phone. The Notes app is probably my most valuable app in my phone. And I jot, I'll be at work. An idea will pop in my head for the stream or for a review or for anything. I jot it down, because I don't remember things that well. Things leave my head so fast, almost like by the time the last word comes out, it's already left my head. I just have a really, really, really bad memory. So I have to write things down, especially if it's important. So in my notes here, I put AMC Universal. The very first thing I put, and it's very, very important, is Ernie McCracken. That's the first thing that I wanted to get out of this, okay? And maybe what I'll do is I'll say I'm a different character name at the beginning of every live stream. So Ernie McCracken, I guess I'm Ernie McCracken today. And I love Kingpin. Like, Kingpin is one of my all-time favorite comedies. The Farrelly brothers. Oh God, it's just so freaking funny. If you haven't seen Kingpin, do yourself a favor. If you want to see a fight between a guy with a massive, massive comb over and a big-breasted chick, and he literally punches her boob, then watch Kingpin. That movie is just the gift that keeps on giving. It's great. Jesse Yarborough, he says he's doing well. That's awesome. That's awesome. I saw Jeffrey Lane doing okay. Metal Ray. Hey, is Metal Ray in here? Yeah, there he is. Stay Metal Ray. What's up, brother? Yeah, man. I love his channel. What other YouTube? You know what? Another YouTube. I didn't put this down here actually, but one thing I wanted to mention too is Bobby Burns. And I know a lot of you guys probably know who Bobby Burns is, and a lot of you probably know like the controversy with Shane Dawson and all that happened a couple years ago. But I've always been like a Bobby supporter, and I've always been one of those guys that wants Bobby to come back and be great again. And I think he's on his way. You know, I think he moved back with his family, and they made this video, this like Tiger King tribute recently that had me in stitches. I mean, he's a very talented writer and editor. I got to give Bobby Burns credit on that. But I really love that video. So if you haven't seen it yet, just go Bobby Burns. It's like his one of the like last 3 videos that he did. He did a Tiger King type video. It's really good. It's really funny. It's hilarious. Jesse Campbell, Lee, read the comics, man. Glad you found the community page, by the way. Yeah, man. That's. I don't think that. I don't like Patreon's layout. It feels like very, very first generation, like maybe what the first Facebook felt like. And it would be cool if it was a little bit more user friendly, because it took me. Let's see, I've had a patron page for 2 years now, and I just now figured out that there is a community section. But in my defense, most of my patrons didn't know that there was a community page. They just assumed that I was the only one that was able to post. So they didn't really make that information too easy to get to, you know? David Thorson, thank you, man. Have you seen the horror film Hideaway? Yes, I have. I saw with Alicia Silverstone and Jeremy Sisto. Yeah, I saw that way back in the 90s. I remember the 90s had some really good, fun movies coming out with, that, I guess that generation of actors at the time, like Steven Dorff. Who are some of the other? But Hideaway was pretty interesting, actually. I kind of dug it. Was Jeff Goldblum in that? I can't remember if he was or not. But it's been a long time since I've seen it. That bitch, Carol Baskin. Yeah. And I saw Holly's comment about Randy Quaid. Randy Quaid is like a secret weapon. He is everything he's in. He like steals the scenes that he's in, like in Independence Day. But some of my favorite lines, and there are so many of them, are from him in Kingpin. When he says, he starts laughing, and he says, I didn't want to be the one to tell her, but she couldn't have had more than 6 or 7 kids with hips like those. Who says this stuff? I freaking lost it. He's like, 8 hours a day. That's for Quakers. And you guys that have never seen Kingpin, this stream's probably boring for you, because you just watch Kingpin. Then you can join in the fun. Let me check my notes here again. Let me see what else I got. Hold on. Both properties do need each other. That's one thing that I highlighted on here too. That's why I think that they're going to come to an agreement. And I think another thing is too is like right now no movies can be shown in theaters. So it makes me wonder if we weren't in this situation, if theaters were running and doing great, I don't think this would have happened. I think AMC had the wiggle room because they knew that we're not going to have movies in theaters for maybe another month at a minimum. So if somebody gets out of line, if somebody says something really stupid, we're safe to check them on it, because that way we still have a month to work it out. And I think that's why they did it. Christian, what's up, man? Christian Hannah Horde. Check out his channel, guys. Great stuff. And I like his layout too. He's one of those horror channels that has a really awesome backdrop. So definitely check out Christian. Good to see you in here, brother. I think I just tore my sack. Don't get me quoting freaking Kingpin, man. The scene when they're at the freaking dinner table at the diner and Bill Murray McCracken, he was like, hey, how are you doing? And she goes, fine. He goes, not you. I'm talking to you. And he's talking to Roy Munson, Woody Harrelson, and he says, and Woody Harrelson's like eating this cereal. And he was like, extra income? And he was like, can you do me a favor? Go outside, finish that cereal, and then come back in and we can talk. Of course, I can't deliver that line like Bill Murray can, but I just love that movie. Oh, it's so good. Taffer says Universal jumped the gun because they had one success in a pandemic. Yeah, Universal should have kept their mouth shut. I don't know though, like reading what they, I definitely agree with you. That second part was pretty stupid, what they said. Going forward, we're gonna, do this with other movies. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but basically they were stating that they don't need AMC. So I get AMC's reaction. It was pretty stupid. I can't argue with you on that one. I said Regal. Talked about Halloween Kills. I still think Halloween Kills is coming out in October, guys. What do you guys think? Do you think Halloween Kills is going to be delayed? I'm sure half of you are going to say yeah. I'm still holding. I still think it's going to. Like right now, we don't know where this thing's going, but the curve is starting to flatten. So this is a critical time right now. We have to, stay the course, do the right thing, and I think if the curve declines much further within the next month, I think that's going to be a really good sign. Idle Hands. Oh man, I love Idle Hands. That is a classic movie. Devon Sawa. I saw that before I saw Final Destination. Devon Sawa was one of those actors that I was rooting for too. Like I saw Idle Hands, and he's a big part of why that movie's great. And then after Idle Hands came out, Final Destination came out, and I was like, this right here, this is a great movie. This is going to launch Devon Sawa. I thought Devon Sawa was going to be, a lot of people compared him to like Leonardo DiCaprio back then because he looked kind of like Leonardo. But then it's just like there was a point where he just kind of disappeared for a while. And then he would show up in lower fare, I guess, comedies and stuff like that. And, now he's doing like TV, and he did the Fan. What's that movie called? The John Travolta movie that just came out. I'm drawing a blank, but I reviewed it even. But yeah, he was in that, which he was decent in that. But yeah, he's an actor that I thought his career was gonna go pretty far, which he's not doing bad. Don't get me wrong. Brandon, no, I have not seen Suburban Commando. I've heard of it, haven't seen it though. People are quick to hold AMC accountable as bitter, mainly for the thought, but I want to see those films in theaters, but not regarding the backhanded way Universal has gone. Yeah, Universal should have really thought that out. And I'm sure the guy that said that, I'm sure he's probably getting a tongue lashing right now. And not the good kind. Let's see. Oh, for some reason, I don't know why I wanted to share this with you guys, but I wrote down Stallone moment. Maybe I'll have a Stallone moment because you guys know how big of a Stallone fan I am. And I like Schwarzenegger too. We could have a Schwarzenegger moment from time to time. But I get inspired, and a lot of times I'll look at like videos of like interviews on YouTube. And Stallone's always been like one of my biggest inspirations, you know, and I've always been interested in his career because this is a guy who, he was kicked out of something like 12 schools growing up, you know. I think he grew up in like Hell's Kitchen too, or somewhere like that. But, you know, he was just a troubled guy growing up. He didn't really have that many friends because he didn't like settle anywhere. And, you know, I've always been interested in his story. And so he was doing this interview, and he was talking, they always talk to him about Rocky, and I'm thinking like, I know everything about Rocky at this point. I know all the backstory. I've seen all the interviews, but he literally said something that I never knew before that kind of shocked me. He said, he was talking about Paradise Alley, which is a script that he wrote before Rocky. And so, he was, you know, starving writer, trying to make his way, playing thug parts, and, you know, his career was almost over at a young age. But luckily he could write. And so he went to MGM, that produces Chartoff, Winkler and Chartoff or whatever. He went there to the producers, and I always thought that he went there with the actual Rocky script. Not the case. He went there with the Paradise Alley script. But he sold the Paradise Alley script for $110. You know, and this is before Rocky. So he sold the script because he was just, you know, he was starving. He needed money. So he sold that script for $100. So anyway, he goes and talks to the producers. The producers they thought the script for Paradise Alley was good. They offered him $20,000 for that script. He probably wanted to punch himself in the face. And of course he said, well, I got bad news. I just sold the script for $100. So he said that is what inspired him to run out and actually write Rocky. He said, I need a story and I need it now, because right now I have a moment here. And the guys that I sold the script to Paradise Alley to, they couldn't get along with the producers. So they weren't going to make that movie. So he had a window of opportunity. So what he did was he went for like the next couple weeks, wrote Rocky, like the worst version of it ever, and then came back to them and said, okay, here, I got this. And then we all know the story. You know, they offered him $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 or something like that. And eventually he was just like, I have to play Rocky. And so that was a ballsy move too, because they could have been like, see ya, have a nice life, and we would have never had Rocky. But he wanted to play that part so bad, and he stuck to his guns. But Stallone said that would never happen today. Like the way business was done back then, people took more chances on things back then. Today, they wouldn't even waste time with a Rocky. Hell, Stallone even said that like boxing movies, if you have, let's say there's 300 boxing movies out there, 297 of them are not going to be hits, because at its core, Rocky wasn't a boxing movie. That was just his occupation. Rocky was a love story, is what it was. And he said that's why it worked. So, but I just found that interesting, and I figured I'd share that with you guys. It was cool. Now, if you guys want to ask me questions, because I put, this is going to be news, topics, and then from the chat. So this is where I kind of give you guys the floor. And if you have questions or things that you want me to talk about, just let me know in the comments, and we can address some of your stuff, like what's on your mind. Okay, so I pretty much, I hit all my notes for you guys. Okay, so now I give you guys the floor. Sumney, what's up, man? He says, have you seen Raging Bull? Of course I've seen Raging Bull. I prefer Rocky, but Raging Bull is still it's a Scorsese movie. I like the fight choreography in Raging Bull too. It's very different. DeReal Sean, have you watched Black Summer on Netflix? No, I haven't watched that yet. I am super, super picky with what I watch on Netflix, really even like Hulu, all of them. But the wife and I do like to have a show to watch at night when we go to bed, and usually we'll be on. If a show has like 5 seasons, we're gonna be on that show for a long time. So I'm not the guy that like runs out and watches a lot of TV shows. Now, if a show is getting a ton of buzz, like say Tiger King, then I gotta watch it. Or my daughter, she'll tell me, she'll be like, cause she is like a TV junkie, and she'll tell me, hey, you need to check this out. This is really good. She told me that with the show Don't F with Cats. If you guys haven't seen that documentary, wow, I cannot recommend any documentary more than I can Don't F with Cats. That is some of the most intense TV I've ever seen about I guess he was an internet troll who eventually became a killer, without giving anything away. But wow, really great. Really great. Top 10 go-to movies over and over again. Jesse Yarborough. Am I doing a live top 10 right now? Is that what's happening here? Wow. Let me see. All right. Go-to movies every year. I think that's what he said. Top 10 go-to movies every year. So I'm not going to go in order. But obviously Jaws, Halloween, Alien. Let me think. Hold on. Usually I watch Rocky at least once a year, so I'll put that on here. Zodiac. That's a movie that I love. Like, for some reason, I can watch Zodiac every day. I can throw it on in the background. I can watch Zodiac. I just love Zodiac. It's so good. So I give you 5. Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is a movie that I've watched pretty much every year since it came out. I love Pulp Fiction. It's amazing. I said Halloween. I don't want to put it on the list, but I know there's a Friday the 13th movie in here somewhere. Probably Friday Part 4. I love watching Friday Part 4. So what is that, 7? So we're on 7. Hold on. I want to make this count. I want to make these last 3 count, okay? The Crow. Definitely The Crow. So that's 8. Suspiria, even though I just watched, I just saw Suspiria for the first time a couple years ago, but that's definitely highly rewatchable. And what else? I'm looking around in my collection to see if one of these movies pops out at me that I watch. Star Wars. I definitely watch Empire Strikes Back once a year. So there's 10 right there for you. I did it. I gave you a top 10 in a live stream. I always wanted to do a top 10 in a live stream, but you did it. You set me right up. So cool. David Thorson, are black and white movies worth buying on Blu-ray? Absolutely. I think I just bought Night of the Living Dead on Blu-ray last year. It looks amazing. And I have both ends of the spectrum. I have Night of the Living Dead on VHS, and I have it on Blu-ray, the Criterion. But I like both versions. That is a good movie to watch on VHS. Like, certain movies, especially horror, are fun to watch on VHS. But yeah, that's it looks great on Blu-ray actually. So I say yes, definitely. Yeah, Terminator. Yeah, I definitely watch. I forgot to mention Lord of the Rings. So there's some honorable mentions for you too. Well, Lord of the Rings I watch every freaking year. Love Lord of the Rings. Shannon Tweed. I've watched a few Shannon Tweed movies. Top 10 alien invasion movies. I can't even attempt that right now. Here's asking for one right here. Todd Fair. Why did H2018 suck? It did not suck at all. I can tell you some things that sucked about it. I mean, you can find things that suck about almost any movie, but I think the peanut butter on my penis has not aged well at all. That sucked. Um, you see, like it's tough for me to actually come up with a lot of things that sucked about the movie. Um, I'd say as much as I like Sartain as a character, I don't think. I mean, I get why he put on that mask, but I don't think I needed to see it. You know, he explained the reason why he wanted to put on the mask, so they built it up. But I don't think you needed to show him put on the mask, you know, because we understood why he wanted to put on the mask. So I don't think he should have put on the mask. I don't think Hawkins should have died. But still, I give it a 4 out of 5 movie. It's still a really fun Halloween movie. You know, I still really enjoy it. I think the first half of the movie is excellent, actually. Hell, I mean, I've reviewed the movie 3 times now. So I did a spoiler review. I did the non-spoiler, and then I did the revisited. So, which is probably what I'll do with Kills too. I'm gonna, you know, and I'll cut to the chase right now, guys. Okay, I've caught a lot of heat from people because I changed my opinion on Halloween 2018. But I'm that type of person. I'm sorry. I get, especially if it's a property that I'm very, very okay. Let me refresh this to make sure you guys can still. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me, if we're back. Which I think we are. And let me fix this real quick. Yeah, I think I got to fix my chat again. Hold on just a second, guys. Give me a minute. Okay, yeah, I think yeah. Okay, yeah, you guys are saying I'm back, so just want to make sure yeah, there we go. Okay, good. All right, cool. Good to see you guys in here again. Hey, I was talking about Halloween 2008. Maybe that's what caused it to cut out. Halloween 2018. it's such a controversial topic. But I guess the bottom line I'm trying to say, guys, is you know what? My mind might change from time to time, maybe too much for some people, but I will never apologize for my opinion on a movie ever. Okay, and I'll always try to be honest about my opinions on a movie at any given time. Halloween is a franchise that I do constantly change my mind about as far as like the order of the movies, especially in the middle there. They change. Like sometimes I like 6 more than I do like 4, and vice versa. Sometimes I'm in the mood for 6. Sometimes I'm in the mood for 4. Hell, just last week I was like, I'm really wanting to watch Halloween 2018. You know, so I mean that's got to say something, right? If I'm wanting to watch the movie that bad. Yeah, Jason Nike says, I'm like that with Friday the 13th, Lee. The remake has dropped. Yeah, that's a perfect example, actually, Jason. The remake, as much as I rake that movie across the coals for the characters, I still have a good time with it. And I will say, during the last D-Watch, I went into that D-Watch thinking I wasn't going to like it because I've always had major, major issues with that movie. And you can even catch me in the D-Watch, like live, saying, oh my God, I'm actually having a good time with this movie this time. It happens, you know? So I'm just like that, you know, and maybe that makes me not the type of reviewer that you want to watch because I change my mind from time to time. But even Jeremy Jahns himself said this in one of his videos that I saw. He said, don't expect every reviewer to have the same opinion about any movie that they see, especially if they review the movie on opening night. Because there's a good possibility that their mind could change. Hell, Chris Stuckman saw this movie right here. Blade Runner. Chris Stuckman, it took him 3 watches to finally love Blade Runner. You know, and I'm like that too. Sometimes I see a movie and it takes me quite a while to actually enjoy it. Hell, Blade Runner was like that for me. This is one of my favorite movies now, Blade Runner. But it wasn't a movie that grabbed me the first time I watched it. I thought it was kind of boring. But it's one of those movies that there's so much beneath the surface that every time you watch it, you get more out of it. It's kind of like a Kubrick movie, you know? A lot of times Kubrick's movies, at first glance, you don't, I guess, get it, for lack of a better phrase. And then eventually, you know, it's, and for me, I don't know if it's this way for everybody. For me, if the movie stays with me, then I feel the need to go back and watch it again. You know, this happened. Tourist Trap. When I first watched Tourist Trap, I was really kind of perplexed by it. Like, I was like, did I like that? I mean, because it definitely had some interesting stuff in it. And then the next day, the next 2 days go by, I couldn't get the movie out of my head. And so then I threw it in and I watched it again. I freaking love Tourist Trap now. You know, it's one of those types of movies. So that's one of the reasons I love movies anyway. I love that movies do that to me. I love that movies get me emotional, that get me excited, that get me angry, you know? Because there's only so many things in this life that have that effect on you, you know? And, you know, I'm passionate about movies. You guys are passionate about movies. So I was actually surprised when people reacted to me changing my mind about movies, if I'm being honest. I thought everybody changed their mind about movies from time to time. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Okay, every time I talk about Halloween 2018, Terrifier's another example. First time I watched Terrifier, wasn't for me. Couldn't get that out of my head. Felt the need to watch it again. Watched it again. I love Terrifier now. I do. I mean, if you're wanting horror that just doesn't hold back whatsoever, is so unapologetic, that's Terrifier. And I do like horror that's, I guess you could say polarizing. I don't know if you'd call Terrifier polarizing, but I will say, I know I've seen a lot of people that hate Terrifier. And then I've seen the other side of that, people that freaking love Terrifier to death. So I guess that kind of makes it a little polarizing, but I actually like movies that are polarizing, you know? Whether I like the said movie or not. I just find it interesting when movies can cause that type of reaction out of people. It Follows. Oh my God. I have never seen so much rage and vitriol for a movie like It Follows. I know without a doubt, if I put It Follows on any of my top 10s and it's made a few of my top 10s, I know that I'm going to get a comment saying, how dare you fucking put It Follows on there? That is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. I've literally seen people, I'm paraphrasing of course, but people get passionate about their hate for It Follows. And on the flip side of that, people get passionate about their love for it. I kind of dig that about It Follows, you know? Because if anything, it creates a conversation. Okay, you hate this movie. Tell me exactly what you hate about this movie. You know, and a lot of times people will say pretentious, they'll say slow, boring. And I think the thing with slow burn movies is, are you along for the ride or are you not along for the ride? And that's not like a diss towards anybody that's not into slow burn movies, but I do think slow burn movies, if they're good, you have to be willing to take the ride, take the journey, you know? And if they're good to you, I guess. So, but yeah, a lot. I see a lot. Jesse says, piss on It Follows. I knew what would happen. It was an experiment. And then Candace says, I like It Follows. So, yeah. And you know what? I'd rather a movie like that than say a movie, I don't know, like Escape Room. Is anybody talking about Escape Room right now? Is anybody getting passionate about Escape Room right now? You know, that's my point. There's a couple of you that are probably triggered about Escape Room right now. Probably not, but that's my point. I'd rather have movies that are challenging and get people passionate than movies that are just cookie cutter. So I guess that's my point. What decade does It Follows take place in? I think, well, that's definitely an intentional thing by David Robert Mitchell. And I think he's wanting to make this movie timeless. You know, if you don't know what decade the movie takes place in, but it doesn't like contradict itself at least too much. I know that there's that little, like makeup little thing that looks like, what would you call that? Like, it's like a little pocket computer, I guess. And again, I think that's intentional too, but he didn't want to set it in one specific timeline. So it didn't get in the way of the movie for me though, at all. But I will say too, on the flip side of that, I'm not an overly nitpicky type of person. Like, there are some people, like, I remember when I went and saw, when I was in Korea, and the Ring just came out. The Ring was getting all kinds of buzz, and I was really curious. I was like dying to watch this movie. Everybody was talking about it, and I had this a suite mate, I guess you could call it, because we shared a bathroom, and good friend of mine. And I was like, hey, The Ring. You want to watch The Ring with me tonight? Yeah, let's watch The Ring together. I wanted to freaking choke him by the middle of the movie, because all he did throughout the whole movie was sit there and, that wouldn't happen. Oh, there's no way she would go there. That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Why in the hell would they do that? This album would not have come out at this time. You know, just nitpicking every single little thing about the movie. I wanted to freaking strangle him. I was like, dude, I can't enjoy the movie. I just want to sit here and enjoy the movie. If you want to have a conversation about the movie after, I'm totally fine with it. But I can't stand it when people just want to freaking dissect the movie, especially if it's a brand new movie that they've never seen before. If they want to just sit there and dissect the movie, the entire thing. Why am I doing this? That makes no sense. Escape Room reminds me of House of Wax remake. Yeah, I mean, I can see it. It seems like House of Wax remake is starting to get its comeuppance though, because I see a lot of people mentioning it in my comments. So I think it does have like a small little cult audience, which is cool. Okay. All right, here we go. DJ Jones. DJ Jones was the one. DJ Jones, I don't know if you were here at the beginning, but I talked about your comment about Patreon and how you didn't really like, you know, it was kind of confusing, the layout. So if you weren't here at the beginning, you'll see that whole conversation on the replay at the beginning, because I'm not going to repeat it, but it was a good point. Okay. Oh God, The Rise of Skywalker. Boy, if you want to trigger anybody with a movie, Jesus, boy, that's the one to do it. Charles Thomas, did you like The Funhouse? Yeah, man, I love The Funhouse. I think The Funhouse is the best carnival horror movie out there, and that's all because of Tobe Hooper. Tobe Hooper, I think, was one of the greats in terms of horror directors. Just because, I've said this before, I think Tobe Hooper is what Rob Zombie wants to be, and he might not even know that that's what he's trying to be, but I feel like Tobe Hooper is like the good version of a Rob Zombie movie. And the reason being is because Tobe Hooper has good scripts, you know, which in turn brings you more likable characters. So, yeah, I love The Funhouse. The Funhouse, very, very memorable little horror movie. And, you know, he's one of these Texas directors, you know, that for some reason, directors out of Texas, they really interest me. Like the director of Tourist Trap was based out of Texas, and you can tell that they like to mix it up with their stories. You know, they don't like the same old slasher template type of movie. Which slashers are my favorite genre. Don't get me wrong, I love slashers. It's easy for me to fall in love with a slasher movie. So take my reviews for slasher movies with a grain of salt, but I usually say that in the review anyway. Yeah, DJ says, yeah, I commented on that. All good, though. Still happy to support the channel. Yeah, no problem, man. But you brought up a great point. That's why I mentioned it. I was like, you know what? That's a good point, because I've seen people comment like that before. It's just a weird layout that they have on the page. Dill Pickles 94. I like Dill Pickles. It says Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is underrated. It was a product of the time, and it would just be another carbon copy of the original if things had stayed the same. Thank God that they got Tobe Hooper to actually direct the second one, because Tobe Hooper's not the type of director that wants to repeat himself. So the second one is so good. It's like the opposite. It's like you get your yin and your yang pretty much of the first movie, and both movies are like, they're great. You know, the first one is one of the most influential horror films of all time. Tobe Hooper created a masterpiece. I love opinions, but people that tell me that they prefer the Texas Chainsaw remake over the Texas Chainsaw, I'm not saying you can't have a better time with the remake, but to say that it's a better movie than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I will never understand that. You can be more entertained by the remake. Don't get me wrong. You can't just pop up on a Sunday and say, I feel like I want to watch Texas Chainsaw. No, that's a movie that you have to prepare yourself for, like The Exorcist. You know, you can't just pop in The Exorcist at any given moment. It's taken me years to be able to watch The Exorcist again, and it's one of the greatest horror films of all time. That's the difference, you know. So I guess be careful with your words. Don't be Universal Studios, and put your foot in your mouth and say that the Texas Chainsaw remake is the better movie. It's not the better movie. Might be more entertaining, but it's not. I mean, it's not. That's like saying it's better than Psycho. And take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm not being an asshole, okay? I respect all of your opinions. So, yeah, Bill Moseley, Craig Adams. I was at Spooky Empire the last go round, and I chickened out. I wanted to go up and say hi to him, but I'm one of those types of guys when I go to like a convention, I get really nervous around people that I don't know, especially celebrities. Like, I remember when I went and seen Daniel Harris. Daniel Harris has always been my number one, you know, wanting to meet a celebrity, just because of the impact that Halloween 4 had on my life. I clammed up like you wouldn't believe. Like I you know, when I got in line, I was wanting to talk to her, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna say? And you only get it like, because there's people behind you. It's a horrible situation. It really is. It's awkward, and you only get like a minute to say what you want to say. So, all right, hold on. Okay, see. All you motherfuckers, don't try to tell me what I do. The creepy guy from the gas station who was spying on the chick in the bathroom. Crazy. Let's see. Darren, now I know I'm going to butcher this. Abolowitz? He says, Haley, Carla wants to know, did you enjoy when you watched When a Stranger Calls the original? I've seen the original When a Stranger Calls once. When I bought that double feature that had Happy Birthday to Me, the Blu-ray, and I was like, oh, I've never seen the original When a Stranger Calls. I think I saw the remake first, actually, and I liked the remake. I did. It's a good little PG-13 suspense slasher. But so I watched the original, and I was really invested in. Now, it's been a while since I've seen it, but there's one section in the movie that's pretty much what the remake is. And then they spend the next 2/3 of the movie giving you more of a character study on the killer, which on paper, that sounds like an awesome idea. But my problem was I was really invested in that one section in the house. And I didn't care as much when they were outside of the house. So I do need to give it another chance, though. But yeah, it didn't grab me as much the first time I watched it, if I'm being honest. Jesse Campbell says, Lee, do you like the old MacGyver movies like me? Or Guyver? Or did you say, were you talking about MacGyver or Guyver? I'm little clarification on that one, Jesse, because I'm not sure. I didn't watch the MacGyver TV show. In high school, they used to call me MacGyver because I guess I kind of looked like MacGyver. I don't know. Because I used to have a mullet like MacGyver did. And I think I frosted it blonde. I can't believe I just admitted that. My senior year high school picture, I literally have frosted blonde hair and a mullet in the back. I will never share that with you. Like, I'll never show you that. Ever. Ever. Drumdums, do you like The Exorcism of Emily Rose? I think The Exorcism of Emily Rose is probably the best exorcism movie, or at least, I guess, most frightening, next to The Exorcist. I applaud the effort, because I've always said you can't, anytime you try to achieve what The Exorcist did, you're almost going to fail, because The Exorcist is so freaking effective. And Exorcism of Emily Rose was good, actually. I liked it. I did. Guyver Alien Suit. I'm not familiar with that at all. I don't know if maybe that's after my time. But yeah, that's not ringing a bell. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, DJ Jones. Opening of the original Stranger Calls was dope, but then the movie fell off. Have y'all seen When a Stranger Calls Back? I've heard that one's actually really good. I haven't seen the sequel. Have you seen Guyver Dark Hero? No, haven't seen that either. You guys are stumping the shit out of me tonight. Oh, here we go. Brandon Meacham. Why don't you like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? Well, if I can remember, I saw that movie twice. I gave it 2 chances. Comedy, I guess, is very subjective, because I didn't find that much great action in part 2. And I was so annoyed by Drax in that movie. And I loved Drax in the first movie and in Infinity War. But for some reason, Drax annoyed the living shit out of me. Also, you had this whole Gamora section that was kind of slow. I couldn't really get. And I do like that the back and forth between Gamora and her sister. But I think they spent way too much time on it. And then Peter Quill, I don't know what the hell they were doing with Peter Quill. He had a couple of fun moments, but if you remember him in the first Guardians, I mean, he was freaking firing on all cylinders. The entire movie. He was probably the best part of the movie. He seemed kind of out of it in the second one. And like Erica says there, it did feel very long. Like I was like, is this thing going to be over? And I don't know how long the movie was, but I think when movies get boring, they could be an hour and a half and they could feel long. And that's what happened to me. And it surprised me after I saw it, because I thought a lot of people were going to be like me with this movie. But this is one of those cases where I guess I didn't fall in line with the masses, because a lot of people loved Guardians 2. And that's another reason why I wanted to give it another chance, because like, okay, maybe I missed something here. Let me give it another chance. I hated it even more the second time. So yeah, that's pretty much my reasoning for Guardians 2. Kurt Russell's like my favorite actor, one of my favorite actors, and I just didn't give a shit about his character in the movie. You know, he had a couple fun moments, a couple of nice Kurt Russell moments, but overall, I just didn't care about the character, you know, because he was like the villain of the movie, and I didn't care. And then see Jason, you're stopping me again. Lee, do you watch Scott Adkins movies? He is putting out some great stuff. No, I don't recall that name. Is he a director or an actor? I'm embarrassed that you guys are stumping me like this. Slumber Party Massacre is great. I freaking love the both those movies. I haven't seen the third one yet, but I love 1 and 2. Both those are awesome. Yep, Prom Night. I hate the remake. Really like the original though. Don Harrison. Yeah. Chappie says, Haley, have your thoughts changed on Rambo Last Blood, and can you agree with me that it got hated way too much by critics? You know what? I'm glad you asked me that, because I will say this. I was actually talking to Sean Chandler a few days ago. He messaged me and he said, hey, have you seen that there is an extended cut of Rambo Last Blood on Amazon? And I said, yes, Sean, I do know this, because I think it was on Instagram. Somebody sent me a message on Instagram stating that there is an extended cut. And so I watched it pretty much like right after Sean told me about it. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna throw this in and watch it. I got some time here. It's a much better movie. The extended cut, you can watch it on Amazon Prime, and make sure it literally says extended cut. Okay. It's not a perfect movie. It's still not as good as the fourth one, but I will say, just those, like, it starts off with a nice little action scene. So it's good that you get a little bit of action before you get rolling, because there is like some downtime before Rambo starts going all Rambo. But I think the biggest thing I liked about it was there were some added character beats with the housekeeper. Like, because first of all, I had questions after I saw the movie. It was like, who are those people that he was living with? Was that his housekeeper? Was that his god? I mean, I didn't know. They explained that in the extra scenes in the extended cut. And there were some nice moments between Rambo and the teenage girl. But what would she be called? You know, I'm just going to call her his like niece. Even though she's not his niece, I'm going to call her his niece or whatever. But there were some nice moments between them two in the movie, in the extended cut. You know, there's like one or two extra scenes, especially in the beginning, that built that relationship. Because in the review, that was one of my big problems with the movie is without spoiling anything, there's a scene in the movie that's supposed to be very emotional. And there weren't enough tracks laid to get me there emotionally. If you watch the extended cut, the tracks are laid. You know, so it makes more sense. You buy into the character. Now, there's still some, I don't want to say cheesy moments, but over the top, no pun intended, moments in the movie at the end. But it kicked the rating of that movie from a 3.5 to a 4 out of 5 for me. Now I actually am glad. I was going to buy it. Well, Some Need actually sent me the 4K, but I watched the extended cut. You can only watch it on Amazon Prime. I'm thinking eventually they'll give us a physical media version of it, and I'll probably buy that, because that's definitely the version of the movie that I'll want to watch from here on out. It's really good. Dave, what's up, man? Dave, I was bragging about the mask. I was showing it on camera and everything. I showed the stand. As a matter of fact, I literally have it right here. I took a picture of it on Instagram. We had a nice little Halloween 5 mask love fest. But Killer Party. I've heard of that movie, but I've never seen it. So. But I love that name, so I'm definitely interested. Shake and Bake Death House. Have you seen Death House? No, I haven't. Is that the one with like all the big horror grades like King? I heard it's horrible. Andy Blake, love you too. Love you too. Joyride was awesome. The Hitcher, Rutger Hauer was another good suspenseful road movie. The Hitcher is probably the quintessential best road movie ever created. At least horror movie. I love The Hitcher. That's one of my favorites. John Ryder. He was number 1 on my top 10 underrated killers part 2. Yeah, I saved him for part 2, but yeah. Awesome. Let's see. Will Smith. Did you know that Michael Rosenbaum is the ex-boyfriend of Danielle Harris? I did not know that. I know he has a podcast too. I actually listened to his podcast because he had the guy from Arrow on there, and I guess the guy from Arrow had like a panic attack, like live on the air. So that was kind of interesting, and he had to like cut it short and then come back. But no, I did not know that he dated Danielle Harris. Man, we're just rolling, guys. LG, what did you think of Midsommar and Hereditary if you saw them? Yeah, I've reviewed both of them, actually. Loved both those movies. Both of them by Ari Aster. They're just, dare I say, like art house. Not really art house, but just, highbrow horror. I guess that's what I'd call them. But they both really went for it. I don't care what type of horror movie you are. If you go for it, then I love that. I'm all in, and I think both those movies they're crazy story wise. They both, well, especially Midsommar, it offers up a lot of like questions at the end, It's open to a lot of interpretation, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's some crazy stuff in those movies. Crazy stuff. But loved them. I have not seen Horse Girl with Alison Brie. I love Alison Brie. I love Glow. Glow is like one of my favorite TV shows right now. I mean, I'll catch every season of that, and I burn through those seasons so quick. Jesse Yarborough, have you seen The Dead Room? No, I have never. I don't think I've ever even heard of The Dead Room. Tom Hungren says, Midsommar made me laugh out loud, literally. That's a trippy movie. What I liked about it, too, is like a lot of the scenes felt like they were from somebody that's tripping on mushrooms point of view. Like they were like whoever was holding the camera, they must have been like tripping on mushrooms as they're holding the camera. I guess that's about what it's it. Dave says, looks like I'll be sending you Killer Party. It's only available on DVD, and it was originally called April, released in 1986. Paramount had them change the name. April. Well, thanks, Dave. Yeah. There's a few like horror movies out there that you can only get on DVD. Like I know for the longest time, Valentine was like that until Shout Factory finally put out the Blu-ray. Jason Mongold, have you seen the 90s horror movie, The Ugly? No, actually, Sam Pagan, he's been requesting me to check out The Ugly. It's on my list. I just need to get to it, but I've heard good things about it. Jesse Campbell, have you seen Demon Knight with Billy Zane? Demon Knight's on my list too. I've been wanting to see that. I love Billy Zane, actually. If you've seen Dead Calm, Dead Calm's like one of my favorite 80s movies. It's so underrated because nobody ever talks about Dead Calm with Sam Neill, Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman is like, it's kind of one of her first big breakout movies. But, you know, they're just on this boat and Billy Zane's the bad guy. And I guess as far as, oh my God, I got to do a Underrated Killers Part 3 now. Just so I could put Billy Zane on that list because he is so good in Dead Calm. Kevin, my birthday wishes to go to the mall and buy movies. There you go. Yeah, have fun, man. Killer Party's on Amazon, but you gotta pay. Only $2 for rent, though, I think. Is Killer Party a slasher? Sounds like a slasher. Do you like Tom Unger, do you like The Strangers better than The Strangers Prey at Night? I prefer Prey at Night, actually. Just because Prey at Night's more open, setting-wise. It feels much more like a slasher. Both the movies are really good, actually. And I do like that they're, you know, the first one's more of like a home invasion type of movie. But, yeah, they're, I slightly prefer Prey at Night, actually. Because I think Prey at Night really surprised me in that last act. Like, it got pretty damn crazy. And it did the unexpected. Without spoiling anything. Brandon says, do you own a copy of Arrow's Elvira, Mistress of the Dark? No, you know I've never seen Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. I know. And I met her at Spooky Empire. I had her sign my Elvira Funko. I mean, Elvira, she's a freaking legend. She's a horror legend, you know? Sweetheart, too. Okay. Man, we're freaking almost at 2 hours, guys. Holy crap. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I'm going to do a couple more questions. Okay, so Dave says, sorry typo, it's an April Fool's Day. That's what I thought you meant. April Fool's Day movie. It was called The April Fool, and Paramount made them change the name to too similar to their movie. I remember another movie that they made them change the name to was Night of the Demons. Because originally it was called Halloween Party. And I guess Mustafa Akkad reached out to him and said, you can't use the name Halloween. Which I didn't know that you couldn't use, because you're not calling the movie Halloween, you're calling the movie Halloween Party. So I was surprised that Mustafa Akkad would even go that route. But I just found that was interesting, actually. Mizzy, Funny Games is a good movie. I know there's another movie called Road Games that Jamie Lee Curtis did. I haven't seen that one yet either, and that's another slasher movie that I want to see. I think I like those old 80s trailers though, Road Game. You always have the narrator and he's like, I don't know, they're just spaced out differently than like today's trailers are just like there's a rhythm to them, and music plays a much bigger part in today's trailers, but I prefer those old like 80s trailers. So have you watched The Strangers on Netflix? Yes. That's the show from the UK that's got the guy from The Hobbit, which I didn't realize he was in. Like it like struck me because I was like, God, this guy looks familiar. And then like 8 episodes in, or I think maybe 5 or 6, something like that. It doesn't matter. But I was just like, oh my God. And I told my wife, I was like, do you know who that is? And she was like, no, I have no idea. And I was like, The Hobbit. And she just like, what? He's tall. Or at least he looked tall in the show. Because in The Hobbit, he played one of the dwarfs. The main dwarf, really. Road Games is a great one from the director of Psycho 2. Ooh, I didn't know the director of Psycho 2 did Road Games. Now I definitely want to watch it. Okay, couple more questions. Jesse Campbell says, have you watched Castlevania on Netflix yet? You'd love it. Super dark, goth, and adult. Yeah, I saw... That's one of those shows that we were like throwing on before we went to bed. So I only saw like a couple episodes, so I can't say that I've given it a fair shake, but what I saw did look pretty good and pretty creepy. And I know it's got a good cast in there too. Like, wasn't Bill Skarsgård in at least one of the seasons, if not both? David Thorson, thank you. He said, I'd recommend the snowboarder slasher Shredder. Okay, yeah, I've never even heard of that one. See, this is how I end up reviewing all these movies that you guys think are rare. I get them from you guys like David Thorson. Shredder. I've never heard of Shredder. Albin, does Shudder have Friday the 13th or Halloween? I don't know if they do or not. I know they get a lot of deep cuts in there. I don't recall seeing Halloween or Friday the 13th on there. I know Joe Bob Briggs did like a special on Halloween. And that might still be on there. But I don't know if they actually have the movies. Death Sentence is an amazing Kevin Bacon movie, Holly. Yeah, Death Sentence is really good, actually. It gets really damn intense, too. All right. Okay, I'm going to do one more question, and then we're going to... Yeah, it's 11:01. I gotta go to work in the morning. So, Brian Walker, you get the last question. How do you feel about Richard Brooker? He's the best Jason, in my opinion. Yeah, Richard Brooker is a freaking legend. And I think Ted White's my favorite Jason, but I'll give the edge to Brooker in terms of like physicality. He looks more like Jason. As far as like the Jason reveals, I think I prefer Brooker the most because he scared me. When I first saw the mask come off and it was Richard Brooker's face, it literally got me. It scared the crap out of me. But the walk, he had that lumbering walk. Yeah, big fan of Richard Brooker, actually. So, yeah, Dave Vanderhoff saying a lot of the Halloweens, part 1, 4, and 5 are on Shudder, and all the Friday the 13th pretty much are too. Cool. Thank you, Dave. Cleared that one right up. All right. See, I say I'm going to do one more, and then I want to answer more questions. All right, here I'll give Erica Bro. Do you have Shudder and is it worth it? It is absolutely worth it, and I'm saying I literally mean that. Like it's $5 a month, and it's like a horror fan's dream. Like there's a lot of horror movies that I have never seen that I've watched on Shudder. It's tons of great slashers. I like how they categorize everything. Like if you want to watch giallos, they have a whole section for Italian horror and giallos. If you want slashers, they got that too. Ghost Story, I mean, all that stuff. It's a no-brainer. After this, go buy Shudder, please. Okay. Yeah. And Holly says, I believe all the Friday the 13th movies are on Shudder. We'll be leaving soon. Okay, so yeah, if you want to catch them, you better catch them now. All right, guys, that's it. We did it. 2 hours. Look for next Thursday. We're going to be doing this again. I'll come up with a new topic. I always like doing the latest news. And like I said, the last hour we do your questions, whatever. So thank you guys for watching so much. I hope you guys are staying safe. Hopefully we see the end of this madness sooner than later, in the safest way possible. But I really appreciate all you guys. I never even said thank you for 35,000 subscribers. I literally just hit 35,000 subscribers a couple days ago. And it's surreal. It's crazy. It's weird. But I wouldn't be here without you guys. I mean it. So you guys are amazing. So you're, my horror friends. All right. So anyway, I hope you guys have a great night. Thank you all for spending 2 hours with me just talking about horror and having a blast together. Okay. So stay safe, everyone. Love you guys.